Greetings and welcome to day 12 of 40 Days of Wellbeing Concepts for Balance. I'm Raisa Nazaire, and we are talking about 40 concepts from my book, Balance is a Juggling Act: How to Start a Mental Revolution for a Change in Thought. And today's well-being concept is please don't feed the fears. That's right, especially in this day and time, it's more important than ever not to feed into all of that negative and fearful and hateful stimuli that's being directed out towards us. We want to deny our mind of its junk food of lack, limitation, abandonment, shame, guilt, should, could, whatever it may be, anything that no longer serves a useful purpose in this very moment and space and time. And that includes any errors that you might want to drag up from the past that want to contaminate your present, whether it's not being smart enough, not being fit enough, because if you're ignorant of something, you can learn more, you can find out more. If you're unfit, not in shape, you can work out. If you're the underdog, you can always find another way that works for you. So, on the upside, fear, like every emotion, has its message. And fear is a really powerful message for survival. And it's alerting us that something has to be done for preservation of our part of our identity, whether that's our health, our job security, our financial security, our bodily security, our family, the environment, the list goes on. And so we want to acknowledge our fears in a very compassionate way. And we can too have compassion and acknowledge others' fears. Just acknowledge them having fearful thoughts. For ourselves, we don't want to ignore the fear because what you resist persists. And so we can thank the fearful thought for coming up to serve us, and definitely not resist, because resistance only creates unnecessary blocks. And then we want to take a moment to assess what's really going on. We listen to the feeling, see where it's really coming from. Is the situation at hand a real survival issue, or is it a trigger of some kind or something popping up from the past? And then tell the fears, tell your mind what your plan of action is. And of course, you can do it out loud. Talking to yourself is fine. It makes you feel much better, as said Earth, Wind, and Fire. You just have to know where to draw the line, right? And then as you shift out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. You want to use that extra rush of adrenaline to take action because it's there for a reason. It's there to make us stronger. It's there to give us the energy to push through a situation. And and then we want to starve off whatever defensive thoughts that the mind comes up with, whatever misguided or fearful thought, and gently guide ourselves back to balance. Our job is not to get stuck in fight, flight, or fear in general, and to tap into that energy and to allow it to carry us to the solution that's on the other side of fear. And we know that fear thrives in the unknown and uncertainty. And we start thinking of really worst case scenarios. And so, in order to break free of that cycle, we have to cultivate a sense of inner balance and to trust our intuitive self. And that means letting go of the need to always have the answers, to always be right, and to look for solutions that are above and beyond things that we've already done. And again, we want to lean on our intuitive side and self and begin to learn to trust it more. We will continue to see things splashed across the media that are fearful and, and are meant to indoctrinate. And they are doing that indoctrination through hate and fear. But hate is actually a form of fear. I mean, just look at all of the campaigns that are coming at us that are around our health, job security, financial security. As I mentioned, those key factors where we become fearful. So today, a reminder, please don't feed the fears. The well-being concept for today reads, feeding fear, like feeding the bears, can land you in trouble. Fear relies on you for survival. By adding logs to the fire to keep the blaze going, like adding logs to the fire to keep the blaze going, you have to keep generating fearful thoughts in order to sustain the emotion of fear or any other emotion. You have to fuel it. The more fearful thoughts you have, the more fear escalates. Hesitation, procrastination, self criticism, and doubt all feed fear. Constantly listening to the news programs also stokes and escalates fear. So you can de escalate this situation by acknowledging the following. Fear is your inner alarm system. Thankfully, it tells you that action is required to deal with potentially harmful stimulus in your environment. Yet, much like an alarm that goes off at the wrong time or stays on too long, prolonged fear eventually causes distress. If you don't manage your fears, fear will determine what you can have and experience in life. I'm going to read that again. If you do not manage your fears, fear will determine what you can have and experience in life. All the fearful and low potential what if scenarios that run through your brain can easily be replaced with high potential scenarios. Focus on high potential what ifs, which means focus on what ifs that you would desire. What if it all goes right instead of what if it all goes wrong? Rather than jumping from a fearful thought to a fearful emotion that results in a fearful action, feel the fear and listen for its message. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. Once the balancing action is realized, fear is released because there is nothing left to fuel it. The practice of ceasing to feed fear helps you maintain power and energy. The mental adjustments made to cope and move forward, rather than stay stuck in emotions, determines the degree of equanimity that can be experienced in even the most traumatic situations. Today, when the fear alarm goes off, find the message that fear is sharing, then proceed responsibly. And responsibly, from the same root as respond, means respond versus react. So now we're going to take a few minutes to expand our mind as we do every day after the reading, because just reading and having some info or data points on something is not enough. We have to instill it into our being, and journaling helps us do that. So let's take the message and see how we can expand our mind around the thought of, please do not feed the fears. In the morning, we're going to write down write down what we're thinking about the well-being concept. During the day, we move through the day and see how the well-being concept pops up. In this case, today, see how fear pops up for you. And then in the evening, we jot down any insights gained or just a summary of what was experienced during the day as we work with please don't feed the fears. So I'm going to turn up the music so you have some music while you journal. We'll give it a few moments. And then I'm going to leave you while I journal off screen. And hopefully you can see the sign here on the chair that says Gone Journaling. Be back in a few moments. You know, in this age of humanity, Aquarius, we are evolving past our fear based thoughts and we're growing more towards unity, overall humanitarianism, and that is what is going to be able to allow us to transcend fear. In addition to trusting in ourselves, trusting life, trusting our intuition. I hope that you have an amazing day. And as you examine how fear shows up in your life, you can see how you can process that fear and turn it into a positive. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow.